All right, so let's talk about Caitlin Clark. We all see it. She's the one player everyone tunes in to see, the undisputed face of the WNBA. No brainer. The reason tickets and TV ratings are smashing records. So let me ask you this. Is she also the most targeted player in the league because her second season is going off the rails? And this isn't just a slump. This is a full-blown crisis and a mess of injuries that just keep getting stronger. And we're talking about multiple injuries, multiple times on the bench. And this isn't just a run of bad luck. The real story here isn't the injuries themselves, it's the bizarre timeline. The fussy, frustrated non answers we keep getting from the team. And this growing feeling that something is just not right in Indiana. And the whole thing has become a disaster. The media is having a field day, and it's making people ask some very serious questions about how the Indiana Fever are handling a once in a generation talent. And today we're going to break down this chaotic timeline and get into the controversy and talk about how the train wreck of a season could change her career in the future for the whole organization. And as you guys can see this before I get into the timeline and the chaos, as it reads from Chloe Peterson, she's a credible source and she also reports on things when it comes to the Indiana Fever organization and the players in the whole as a whole. So sources confirmed to me that Caitlin Clark suffered a very mild bone bruise in her left ankle on August 7th. Scott Agnes first, which he is the Indiana Fever reporter. So she's crediting Scott Agnes for reporting this first. So source also stresses that this does not tweaked this does not tweaked ankle does not affect her return timeline. Sans Sans ankle injury, she will still be out rehabbing her groin. All right. So, even though that was like a cryptic type of tweet, she could have did better punctuation and illustration. You need to go back to English 101. But to really get how deep this hole is, or the hole is, you have to walk through the timeline. It's just a gut punch of hope, followed by immediate disappointment over and over again. And this wasn't one big dramatic injury. No, this has been a slow grinding war on her body, a series of breakdowns that have kept the 2024 Rookie of the Year out of all but 13 of the Fever's 35 games this season. And the first warning sign flashed before the season even started on May 3rd. Clark misses a preseason game. The reason? Left leg soreness. It sounds minor and she played the next day, but looking back, it was the first clue that the nonstop grind from college to the draft to the pros was already catching up to her. Then you got the regular season starts, and we get the first official injury on May 24th. Playing the New York Liberty, Clark injures her left quad. The team says she'll miss time, and she does 5 straight games. It was a huge setback. But then she comes back on June 14th against the very same Liberty team, and it was magic. She looked like her old self. She was dropping 32 points, 9 assists, and 8 rebounds. And for a minute, you thought, okay, the chaos is over. She's back, right? But then that feeling lasted for exactly 5 games. On June 26th, she's hurt again. This time it's a left groin injury and she's out for 15 days. And you see the pattern starting. Play a few games, get hurt, sit out, repeat. And it was becoming a sick joke, and you could see the frustration building, not just for the fans, but for Clark herself. And then she comes back on July 9th, but this comeback was a blink and you miss it affair because 6 days later, July 15th, final minute of the game, it happens again. Another groin injury, but now it's the right side. And this is the one that knocks her out of the All Star game, and she hasn't played a second since. And we're talking over a month on the sidelines, 13 straight games missed, and who knows how many more. And just when you think the story can't get even more ridiculous, it does. Because on August 7th, in a private workout, supposedly recovering from the right groin injury. And then she gets a fourth, totally separate injury, which is, as I showed you guys in red from this Twitter post, a mild bone bruise on her left ankle. Let me repeat that. She got a new injury while rehabbing an old one. And the timeline tells you everything you need to know. It's just chaotic, it's frustrating, and it's a whole lot more than just bad luck. But this is the hope that I'm talking about that Stephanie White, the head coach of the Indiana Fever, is trying to sell. And this is where fans get frustrated, and I'm sure Caitlin Clark as well, because she's going through it with a day by day basis, listening to the medical team and medical advice and things like that. But check it out.
With the standings, the break you have coming up, does that add more urgency or change or shift the timeline at all with Caitlin and her recovery?
It doesn't really shift anything with Caitlin. I think it continues to be, the most important thing is that she's 100% when she's ready to come back. The timing, it's never ideal, but her long-term health and wellness is the most important thing.
With her being the competitor she is,
Yep.
kind of younger player, is that something you and the medical staff just kind of reiterate with her? Just, hey, it's okay, take your time, there's a big picture we got to think about here?
Yeah, and I think just the experience throughout the year, trying to come back and come back quickly, has also taught her, that she needs to make sure that she's 100%. And yes, every competitor wants to play. But at the same time, doing it the right way and making sure after we've had a couple of setbacks that we're prioritizing her long-term health and wellness is the most important thing.
All right, so now I want to scrub forward to the second conversation, or add into the conversation about Caitlin Clark.
One more quick one too on Caitlin. Do you anticipate she'll be back by the end of the regular season, or?
I mean, that's the hope. The hope is that she's back.
That's the hope that everybody's frustrated with, right? That she's coming back in the regular season or whatever the case may be. So now we go into the second video of Stephanie White. Basically, recently, this was about like a couple hours ago, she was talking about Caitlin Clark when it comes to practice.
She's been time and time again. Any update regarding her?
No, I mean, until she can get into practice and until you guys see her in practice, we're really status quo, same as we have been.
Reed Turner played some big minutes for you there late in the fourth quarter into overtime. What?
So there you have it, right? So it just gets more ridiculous. And this never-ending injury cycle has rightfully started a firestorm. And who's standing right in the middle of it? The Indiana Fever head coach, Stephanie White. The official company line is always the same. They're putting Caitlin Clark long-term health first. Coach White says Clark won't be back until she can practice at 100%, no limits. She said we're prioritizing her long-term health, and wellness is the most important thing. And if that means she's done for the season, well, the team says that's just how it has to be, right? But why sell hope and then turn around and say, well, if she's done, then that's how I got to be. So on the surface, that sounds great, responsible, even. But when you start looking a little closer, the water gets muddy real fast because for weeks, the communication has been foggy at best, leaving fans and the media to fill in the blanks. And is this just the team being extra careful, or is it a sign that they botched the rehab process? Because remember, I just showed you guys the pattern of how she came back earlier and then basically it reignited the same injury. So how does a player get a brand new injury during a recovery workout? These are basic, fair questions that the team just won't give a straight answer to, right? And let's be real for a second. The pressure on the Fever is off the charts. They're trying to make the playoffs, sure. But they're not just any team. They are the home of the biggest star in the league. And every home game is a sellout. Every road game is packed. And Caitlin Clark's presence is worth millions of dollars to the WNBA and to the Fever. So you got this massive conflict of interest, right? Because on one hand, they tell you, oh, they're protecting their most valuable asset for the future. But then on the other hand, there is a mountain of pressure to get the one player who sells all the tickets back on the court for a playoff run. So this is what's feeding the theory that maybe, just maybe, they rushed her back too soon after the first or second injury, which led to this whole cascade of breakdowns. And there's no smoking gun because you see how she mentioned in the first clip, oh, well, she has to learn her body and she has to learn that, she has to make sure she's 100%. Okay, what about the medical team and the medical advice from the organization under the Indiana Fever franchise, let alone organization, which is the team she's assigned to? doing their part and being accountable, and also letting them know, and also speaking on their behalf of what things they may have messed up on. Can't just put it all on Caitlin Clark talking about she got to know her body. She got to make sure she 100%. Well, she's not just relying on her own input, but actually medical advice from workers and a team that's part of the same organization she's working for as well as the ball player. So you got to call a spade for a spade. You can't just put it all on Caitlin Clark and say she has to watch out for it. I'm sure she will not want to do anything detrimental to not get back on the court. Right? So I believe they botched the process when it came to the whole injury. That's just my opinion. I'm not saying that's true. Now, there's no smoking gun, but the pattern, play a few games, get hurt again, paints a very ugly picture. And it sure doesn't help that the rest of the roster has been wrecked by injuries, which only makes them need Clark back even more. And the whole thing stinks of mixed up priorities, shady communication, and a growing distrust from a fan base that's being treated like they can't handle the truth. So, look, to really wrap your head around the chaos here, you can't just look at a list of injuries. You have to connect the dots to the darker conversation that's been bubbling up since day one. The idea that she is being physically targeted by other players, and this isn't just from some fan conspiracy theory cooked up on the internet. We have legends of the game saying it out loud. The great Gino Ariama from UConn didn't mince words. He said she's also being targeted. He made the point that, yeah, every rookie gets a physical welcome to the league, but the stuff Clark deals with is different. It's extra. The whole conversation exploded after a cheap shot from Kennedy Carter of the Chicago Sky at the time when Kennedy Carter was in the WNBA. As we know right now, she's not. So that hip check when Clark didn't even have the ball, the foul itself was bad enough, but it was the reaction from the Sky bench looking like they were cheering it on that convinced millions of people that this is a targeting thing was real. So that's just the most famous example. But people who watch closely point out how she's guarded 94 feet from the basket and how she's face guarded and bumped and hammered off the ball because the other teams know the refs will let it go. So one writer from the Wall Street Journal flat out said the league has fostered a hostile workplace for Miss Clark through excessive fouling, targeting, and hostile comments. So why would this be happening? NBA star Paul George had a pretty good theory. He suggested some of the veteran players might resent that Clark showed up and was handed the keys to the kingdom as the face of the league. He put it like this: these girls have been grinding to grow the game, and then you had this girl that comes along from college, and it's an instant change. And there's going to be girls that are offended by that, and there's going to be girls that think gotta earn it. So you take that constant bruising, physical pounding, and you combine it with a body that never got a real offseason to rest and recover. What do you get? You get the perfect storm for the exact kind of overuse injury she's having. And the quad strains, the groin strains, they are textbook signs of a body breaking down from being pushed too hard. And it all brings up the big, ugly question at the heart of this whole mess. Are these injuries just bad luck? Or are they the direct result of the league-wide welcome that's going and tough and way past tough and crossed over into a deliberate campaign to beat up this bigger star or beat up his bigger star? So the mess isn't just the injuries, it's the toxic environment that might be causing them, right? So now I want you guys to hear what Sophie Cunningham had to say in regards of her update and what she knows so far, because people keep hammering her because she's a teammate of Caitlin Clark that, oh, when she was coming back to play and she's coming back off her injury. But Sophia Cunningham saying, look, I really don't. And this is my honest truth. If I knew, I would have said it, but I don't know. This is my honest truth and what I know. So check it out.
Yeah.
It really does suck, but
Is Caitlin close? How's she coming along?
dude, I don't know. Everyone keeps asking, everyone's like, and I'm like, literally, she doesn't even know. Like, it's just like a day by day legit type of thing. And so, yeah, she's close, but like, you also have to remember, like, she could be playing if it wasn't in the WNBA by now, but like at this level, with how deep and like how good people are nowadays in our league, which is the best it's ever been, like you can't just be good. You have to be on top of your game. And so just trying to get her back in game shape, I think, is what they're trying to do. But like, again, it's literally a day by day. I'm not holding out any information. I just literally don't know.
Did you see Skip Bayless said that the WNBA is lying about her injury?
Dude, that's literally bullshit. Like, no one's lying. No one, that's not,
He
I
said
don't know.
maybe Caitlin Clark has taken a couple of injury breaks just because she needed a mental break from all the jealousy and resentment and bullying and cheap shots.
Okay, here's the thing. When you're an elite level player, you not being able to play is the hardest part. Mentally, physically, emotionally. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's not playing. It's when you're playing is like when it's a part of it. Like you're built for that. So when people say stuff like that, I'm just like, just shut it, bud.
I agree. That's the mindset of a GOAT, though, somebody that want to be great and really want to succeed as bad as they want to breathe. But that's where we are, right? The Indiana Fever are hanging on for dear life to a playoff spot with a team that's being gutted by injuries. Their superstar, the rookie of the year, has only played in 13 games. Her sophomore season has been completely hijacked by this bizarre mystery string of injuries. And her return date, your guess is as good as mine. All we got is corporate speak from the coach and disturbing reports of new injuries happening when no one is watching. An official story they're selling is one of caution and protecting her for the long haul. But the reality just feels so much uglier. It's a story about a team that might be in over his head, a season of brutal hits that looks a lot like targeting, and the impossible pressure put on one person to carry an entire league. So when you add it all up, the herky-jerky timeline of injuries, the refusal to give straight answers, and the backdrop of opponents playing way over the line, you have more than just an injury problem. You have a crisis. And even Sophia Cunningham mentioned when she was playing for the Connecticut Sun, they mentioned on the Connecticut Sun team, her former team, because we know now that she's on Indiana Fever with Caitlin Clark as her teammate currently. She mentioned how they wanted to target her. And now that she's her teammate, she was like, okay, I could get that you may want to rough her up a little bit, welcome to the league, but it's way overboard. So she even admitted as her teammate currently. And being on the opposing team last year. So look, with the season on the line and the generational talent being put at risk, Caitlin Clark injury situation is just a mess. Isn't just a mess, it's a fiasco. And it's one that could define her career and the future of the team and the Indiana Fever and maybe the whole WNBA. Have some serious questions they have to answer because right now the biggest star in the game is sitting on the bench and no one seems to have a clue when or even if she'll be back this season. So this whole story is long from over or being over, and we're going to be all over it. And I just want to know what you think is really going on in Indiana. Is this the team's fault? Is she being targeted by other players? Or is it just a horrible run of bad luck? Supposedly. Drop your theories into the comments below and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any updates on this mess. On that note, family, I'm out. Peace.